South Africa has been rocked by a political earthquake that has left citizens stunned and the ruling African National Congress in total panic, with new revelations suggesting that President Cyril Ramaphosa and former President Jacob Zuma may both be linked to an ongoing corruption scheme, a scandal so explosive it threatens to tear the ANC apart from within. The party once celebrated as the guardian of South Africa's democracy now faces a crisis that could redefine its future and permanently alter the nation's political landscape. The magnitude of the allegations has sent shockwaves through government offices, opposition parties, civil society groups, and ordinary citizens, leaving the country in a state of anxious anticipation. Leaked reports that have just surfaced indicate that investigators have discovered extensive trails of money, suspicious transactions, and offshore accounts connecting high-ranking ANC officials, with Ramaphosa and Zuma's names allegedly appearing in several communications and financial correspondences. For years, South Africans have heard whispers about deep-seated corruption at the highest levels of power, but now the dots are reportedly being connected as evidence points to a coordinated system possibly running quietly under the public radar for over a decade, siphoning resources meant for development and welfare into private hands. Sources close to the investigation say millions of rands have been diverted through shell companies, foreign accounts, and political development funds, money traced back to government projects and tenders originally designed to benefit citizens rather than line the pockets of those in power. For many South Africans, the revelations are a stunning betrayal, especially since Ramaphosa rose to power promising to clean up the ANC after years of corruption scandals under Zuma's presidency, presenting himself as a reformer who would restore integrity and accountability to a party tarnished by greed and self-interest. Yet insiders claim both leaders may have benefited from overlapping networks of influence, using allies to secure protection and control of lucrative deals. One investigation source put it bluntly, although the two leaders may have feuded publicly, the money behind the scenes told an altogether different story. If the claims are true, Ramaphosa's so-called New Dawn was constructed on the very corruption he pledged to destroy, and Zuma's influence inside the system was never really erased. It now places the ANC in its most vulnerable position in decades, as party insiders panic with the reports emerging that a confidential dossier containing names, contracts, and bank statements has already been handed to local and international investigators. The dossier purportedly outlines how certain companies won massive government tenders in exchange for political loyalty, with kickbacks funneled via strategic partnerships and development initiatives, an explosive scandal which analysts warn can break the ANC outright, as internal factions point fingers at each other both for the leak and for exposing sensitive documents. Some senior members want Ramaphosa to temporarily step down until his name is cleared, while others say that Zuma's camp may have engineered the leak as part of its efforts to destabilize Ramaphosa's presidency. The long-running rivalry between Ramaphosa and Zuma, one of South Africa's most heated political battles, now risks being reignited even more fiercely as Zuma supporters claim vindication, arguing that he is no worse than his successor, against accusations by Ramaphosa's allies that Zuma's faction engineered the leak by planting falsified evidence to manipulate public opinion. Early reports suggested some financial documents traced transactions across both the Zuma and Ramaphosa administrations, implying the corruption network may have evolved rather than disappeared. As one political commentator said, the ANC didn't change its system. It only changed its faces, summing up the popular view of an intact culture of corruption despite promises of reform. Outrage has intensified, with citizens calling on full independent investigation into both leaders amid feelings that after promises by leaders in years to rebuild their nation, they have used their positions to advance themselves personally and politically. As one viral tweet said, the ANC is no longer fighting corruption. It's fighting to hide it. Civil society groups and opposition parties, including the Democratic Alliance and the Economic Freedom Fighters, are calling for emergency parliamentary hearings as some leaders demand the immediate suspension of Ramaphosa pending investigations. International implications deepen the crisis, as reports suggest foreign banks and overseas financial systems could be involved, including institutions in Europe and the Middle East. These channels have reportedly flagged suspicious transactions, drawing scrutiny from international regulators and investigators. If confirmed, the investigation could evolve into a multi-country operation, placing South Africa's political elite under unprecedented global examination. Depending on the cooperation between prosecutors and investigative agencies, legal experts warn that if substantial evidence arises, Ramaphosa and Zuma could face serious criminal charges, including money laundering, abuse of office, and racketeering. Panic has escalated within the ANC amid a climate of deep mistrust, with members allegedly deleting documents, erasing communications, or approaching authorities to turn state witness in exchange for leniency. The story is controlling the ANC, one senior insider claimed, describing how the scandal has overtaken the party's ability to manage its own narrative. The revelations, stretching from a sitting president to a former president, mark a turning point for a party already weakened by factional battles, governance failures, and long-standing allegations of misconduct. For many, the scandal confirms the belief that corruption has no allegiance, only beneficiaries, and that political elites often prioritize self-preservation over the nation's welfare. But in a late-night press briefing, ANC spokespeople tried to bat away the allegations as politically motivated and unfounded, accusing the media of trying to divide the party and destabilize the government. Yet the denials have done little to calm public skepticism, with South Africans continuing to demand transparency and accountability and noting that vague rebuttals cannot replace independent investigations or verifiable evidence. Demonstrations have erupted outside major government buildings and ANC headquarters, with citizens holding placards insisting that no one should be above the law and that swift consequences for all implicated officials are in order. Opposition parties continue to leverage the scandal as a means of challenging the legitimacy of the ruling party, moving motions of no confidence, emergency hearings, and forensic audits, while civil society groups continue mobilizing for impartial investigations as a means of restoring trust in broken state institutions.